What did you say? Scavenger Scum.
Hello, everyone. I'm Erin, and welcome to Rebel Scum Podcast. Coronavirus has almost everyone on lockdown, and we at Rebel Scum Podcast want to keep you entertained during this very unique period of time. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I am Erin, and this is... Emery. In case you didn't hear it, you got to speak a little bit closer to the mic.
Emery.
There you go, girl. Okay. So, this is my niece, Emery, joining me today on a very special day of Star Wars Mystery Box unboxing. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Okay. The camera's over here, honey. Stare at the camera. Right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Who do you hope you're going to get?
I hope I'm going to get her.
Her. So, you want Rey?
Yeah. I want
Okay.
Ray.
Okay. Speaking here. Okay.
I want Ray.
Okay. All right. You know what? Just go give it. That's okay. Let's see what this is.
Hope it's Ray.
All right. Let's hope it's Rey. We have a 1 in, I think, 12 chance.
So do I open it now?
Yeah, just the top. Yeah.
Bottom.
Okay, keep it up here. Gotta hold it up. Hold it up to the camera so everybody sees.
I have a black bag.
You have a black bag. Do you think it's Rey? What do you think by feel? Rey?
It's Ray.
You think it's Rey? Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
Let me open this.
You can do it. Come on. Use the force. Ready? Oh, Auntie Erin needs a stronger lightsaber. Can someone pass the scissors? I don't want to use my teeth instead.
And a half.
Okay. She's gonna get it. I have faith in. Okay, let's bring in the knife. Uncle James has a knife. Just rather. Oh my god. Oh, this is scary.
That's sharp.
Yeah, I know. Why do you have this? I don't want to know. Okay, we're just gonna put that over there. Do something with this. Okay.
Oh, I got this girl again.
Again? Do you know her name?
I think it's Rose.
Pardon?
I think it's Rose.
Yes! Good job! Rose it is. She got Rose. You have to show
I
it
said Rose.
Okay. Give the camera a good look. There you go. Wasn't it fun? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this St. Patrick's Day. Do you have your green on, girl? Where's your green? What about your nail polish? Show them your nail polish. Yeah. Well, they can't see it probably, but she does have green nail polish, so I don't have to pinch you.
Gold. I have gold.
Oh, it's gold. Okay. Thanks for joining us, everybody, today.
It's like gold, like that. Like gold. What the hell? Like that.
It's gold. Yeah, gold and green. Okay. Thanks for joining us, everybody, today. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm Erin, and this is...
Emery.
And
Don't forget.
And
Emery.
until next time. Ciao. High five. Yeah, girl. The Rise of Skywalker was released digitally on March 13th, 4 days early. And with it came a 2-hour documentary, which I love, by the way. James has more.
Thanks, Erin. I'm here to talk about the Legacy of the Skywalker documentary that is included in your copy of the Rise of Skywalker. It's on the digital copy. It will be on the Blu-ray as far as I know. And, you know, one thing that really came up when we watched The Force Awakens was there wasn't a lot of additional content on the Blu-ray when it was first released. And then The Last Jedi had The Director and the Jedi, a very good documentary with Ryan Reynolds. And the one thing that I remember talking about that one with Josh from the Den of Nerds about was that if you didn't like Rian Johnson, that documentary was not going to change your opinion. It was actually probably going to validate your opinion of Rian Johnson. He was very much his own filmmaker. He said, this is the movie I'm making. This is how it is. This is how it's going to go. And he made no qualms about it. That was it. That was his direction. Now we have this new one, the Legacy of the Skywalker, and I've got to be completely honest with you. J.J. Abrams kind of comes across very similar, but not so much in the Rian Johnson kind of way. More in the J.J. Abrams way. And then what I mean, though, is that if you love The Rise of Skywalker, you will have no issue with what he's saying here. But if you had problems with it and some of the stuff that he's saying, then you might feel like the people that didn't like The Last Jedi felt about Rian Johnson, that he might come across a little bit harsh and whatnot. And I hear a lot of those complaints on social media, like I did with Rian Johnson before. So I don't want to talk about that. That's not what I'm interested in. Some of the things I really loved about this documentary were the the making of type stuff, which is something that I think we don't get a lot of. And I know a lot of people are harsh on, oh, there's another movie of deleted scenes and this and that. And for me, the reality is I don't care about deleted scenes. I mean, I do, but they're deleted for a reason. That's how I've always felt, is you delete something from your movie because there's a reason to delete it, and the reason you delete it is because it's not working or it slows it down or whatnot. And that's how I feel about The Rise of Skywalker. I'm sure there are a lot of additional scenes that strengthen the movie story-wise, but take away from pacing. And I think the thing with J.J. Abrams as a storyteller is he's all about pacing. You really watch that when you watch his other movies. It's pacing is far superior than story, I find, in all of J.J. Abrams stuff. I think The Force Awakens is paced wonderfully, but I don't think it's got the strongest story. And then you have, The Rise of Skywalker, which is frantically paced, but I think he really wanted that because The Last Jedi was very slow paced. I think he wanted to go polar opposite of what we just saw. And I think over time, you're going to find that these two movies, because of that decision, because of the decision of both of them, that these two movies over time are going to work way more effectively in 10, 20 years from now. People will have the argument, what's better, Last Jedi or the Rise of Skywalker? And, it'd be very similar to Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, where they're very different, but they complement each other so well. And you buy that they're part of the same universe and galaxy because of the way they complement each other, because life is full of highs and lows, and that's how Star Wars is as well. My favorite part of this documentary is by far the quicksand aspect of it from The Rise of Skywalker. The quicksand, when they're falling through the quicksand. So I got to go right back to this whole documentary. The thing that was very cool about it is it starts with Return of the Jedi, and there's this interview, and they're like, "Oh man, I can't wait from fans, and I can't wait to see all 9 of them." This is after the third, or before the third one's even out, and it takes you there, and then it starts at the beginning of The Rise of Skywalker, and it works all the way down The Rise of Skywalker. It's chronological for the film, how the film lays out. That's how it's chronological. So my favorite part, though, is the quicksand by far. And you find out that the sand itself is actually black beans, dry black beans. They said that would look better, and it feels better, and it just aesthetically, it's what they needed for that. And it looks great. I didn't know it was black beans until I watched it. But what was cool was they have a crane come in, and they dig up the sand. And then they bring in shipping containers, like storage units, right? They bring those in, put them where they dug up the sand, and they kind of fill it all up. But they cut the tops of the storage containers out. And they put these lift contraptions up and down. And then there's like a ceiling. So the actors go on the lift contraption, and it kind of slowly, gradually brings them down. And then underneath, you've got like your crew there, and you got stairs to get out and whatnot. And while I'm watching it, I'm claustrophobic, and I'm just like, oh man, this is freaking me out. And of course, Daisy Ridley's like, she's claustrophobic too. She's like, there's a second where you can't breathe, and it's the most terrifying thing ever. I'm like, I totally get you. But it was one of that's an aspect of filmmaking that I love. I love seeing that. I love seeing the inventiveness of that. It was so much fun. But again, they go chronologically, and you hear like, Oscar Isaac, and he's like, oh, I can't wait to see Ian McDermott as Palpatine. He's just like so excited about that. And Daisy Ridley's like, the first time you see him, it's like mind blowing, and she absolutely loved it. And you see like how much fun Boyega's having on the set, and really the focus is the fun and the creativity and the ingenious engineering that went into creating this movie, the puppeteering. The special effects, everything, J.J. Abrams kept saying how top notch it was. And when you watch this, you're like, this is legitimately top notch. This is phenomenal stuff. And if you personally don't like the story, you do like the story. That has nothing to do with. You can't take away from the hard work that was put into this movie by so many crew members who did it. Babu Frick was like, there were, like, I don't know the gentleman's name, but the designer of the animatronic for Babu Frick was so proud of what they accomplished because it was like so small and so intricate, and it's like it never really been done before of that scale, and you see all of that. And Anthony Daniels is all around. He's so excited as per usual, and yeah, the behind the scenes stuff is great. Adam Driver has a lot of tidbits. You see a lot of Michelle Rejwan giving her thoughts on it. Chris Terrio really guides you on it. And you kind of understand where they're coming from when they make some decisions that you may or may not agree with, but they kind of come up and they say certain things, and you might not agree with it, but I think you have to respect where they were coming from. Even if you don't agree with it, you could respect some decisions that were made and where they're coming from. Like in The Director and the Jedi with Rian Johnson, and he'd be saying something, and someone would be like, well, that's not very Star Wars, and he's like, I don't care. It's like, that's what it's going to be. So you respect that because that's his decision, and because it might not be Star Wars, it is now Star Wars, right? Like, you're evolving Star Wars. And I know Rian Johnson said he doesn't care about world building within it, but he actually does, because he was doing that in The Last Jedi. He was world building in The Last Jedi. That's what he was doing when he incorporated all these quote unquote non-Star Wars aesthetics to it. That's what he was doing, and you get a lot of them in this. It was just thrilling. You see John Williams and his cameo, and how much all the details surrounding him are items from his 52 Oscar nominations. It's just so incredible to see things behind him, and J.J. Abrams kind of pointing him out, and how emotional he was for it, how much it meant to him. And on Patreon exclusive, I will be doing a video like this, a review of the Maestro's finale, which is the digital exclusive John Williams 10 minutes 30 seconds, somewhere around there, documentary about making of it. And it goes back to the beginning and to now, and you kind of see him create Star Wars, and he goes, here's the first thing we ever recorded in 1976, and it's Star Wars, right? The theme just kicks in, and you're like, yeah, that's completely rad. It's so awesome. So they do a lot of that, but like they follow it chronologically. You see the excitement, thrill set of it. It's genuinely a fun ride, a fun documentary, beautifully shot, well edited. It is like I said, the making of the quicksand I very much enjoyed, but it is more fluff than stuff on the prequel making ofs. It is more fluffy, more entertainment, more of a joyride. But I guess arguably these movies are a little bit more like that also. Like this movie, it's just for fun. So it definitely holds to that. And if you didn't like The Rise of Skywalker, again, you might find yourself getting angry over what's said, I guess. But I think ultimately, if you just shut your mind to that off and you watch it for what it is, I'm making of a movie, a specific movie, not a specific movie, an unspecific movie, just something that you want to watch, just like a making of a behind the scenes of an epic. You put it on, you watch people having the time of their lives creating art. I think you'll enjoy it. So I recommend this for any Star Wars fan, Rise of Skywalker fans, especially Daisy Ridley fans, Adam Driver fans, John Boyega fans, and J.J. Abrams fans. If you're out there still, this documentary is for you. This is fantastic. I love it. Let's send it right back to Erin, who's sitting at this exact same desk.
Do you like Star Wars?
Yeah. Do you like comics?
Yeah.
Here's Brock's
Top 5 comics.
Yeah.
Thanks, Erin. Yeah, we're all stuck inside. So what do? Do you watch Netflix? Nah. Do you play video games? Nah. You gotta go down, get into a comfy chair, and you're reading some books. So here we are with the top 5 Star Wars comics to read while you're in isolation. Now, huge piece of advice. Obviously, we can't go out. We can't go buy things. Perhaps you can order it, but you want to read something now. Go check out 2 different things. Because Marvel owns Star Wars now, download the Marvel.com app, and you will be able to read and download comics. You have to purchase them, of course, but like you can get it easy access, figure it all that out, or you can check out Comixology, which has pretty much the same thing, but same concept. Check those two things out. They're great. I love them. I use the Marvel.com app. So number 5, this is something I haven't even read yet, but I would love to actually check it out. The Marvel Legacies, where they rethink what could have happened if perhaps Leia was the Jedi, or perhaps they don't succeed as good as they want. There's 3 different ones, one for, I believe, New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. I don't think they did anything with the prequels, but definitely check that out. It's a Dark Horse version, it's during the period when Dark Horse owned the rights to Star Wars. So you might have a little tricky time finding it, but it's definitely out there. I think they can get it in Kindle version. Maybe, I don't know. Check it out on Amazon. My number 4 will be Dr. Aphra. It's a series that kind of like exists on its own in the ongoing Star Wars, but kind of has a fun connection in ways because Dr. Aphra worked for Vader. That's how we were introduced to her first. And I keep saying on the show, they should make this into a Disney Plus because it's got a lot of good things that are just like home runs to make this a lot of fun, kind of like a female Indiana Jones. And you get to go into the mysticism of the Force because she's looking for artifacts. So check that one out. My number 3, I got to put him on here, Poe Dameron. The series is done, but what a fantastic run I've had. And it even ends where you get to see what happened prior or just after Last Jedi. Rey and Poe and Finn on the Falcon talking. He's like, hey, we're friends now. Number 2, can't suggest it enough. The Star Wars ongoing series. It's been going for about 5 years. They just finished it. Issue 75, and now they're on to an ongoing going on after Empire Strikes Back. The first 75 issues deal with what happens after New Hope. So we see a lot of cool stuff, and there's a lot of things that are like, oh wow. So check that out. But then my number 1 is also attached. If you're gonna read that series, you must read the Journal of Obi-Wan Kenobi. This stuff is like, wow. It's basically just Obi-Wan and Uncle Owen fighting constantly on Tatooine. But if you read that, it can definitely get you excited for a possible Obi-Wan series, which will hopefully come out soon. Who knows? But those are my top 5 picks of current Star Wars comics. If you have any other choices, let us know in the comments. Great stuff. And hey, wash your hands.
Hi, I'm Ella. Do you like making movies? I like making movies. And guess who does? Jericho Kane. And today we're going to show you his experience of fan films.
Hey guys, my name is Jericho, and today I'm going to be giving you guys some advice and some tips on how to make fan films. Specifically, I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on how to make a good Star Wars fan film. First thing when making Star Wars fan film, or any fan film, is know your budget and know your limitations. It is very important to know what your resources are, what resources you have, what locations you have. I can't just fly like across the world and take a whole bunch of people with me to make a fan film. Like, I don't have that budget, and they don't have that time. So it's important to know really what you're going into when you start writing this. It's important to know your limitations when you're writing this, because if you write a full-on movie, like legit high-budget movie script, unless you're working in the film industry and like get there, it's probably not going to happen. But you can make a good fan film. So I have some friends, okay? See, I've been making fan films for probably about 5 years. Yeah, about 5 years now. I've made a lot of fan films in the past couple years. I have friends of mine, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but where they will write these great scripts. They're good scripts, okay? But they're not keeping their limitations and their budget in mind. They're writing 40 casts, like 40 cast member scripts, or like crazy locations, or like you gotta have the top-notch visual effects and you have to build all these sets and go to all these crazy locations and get all these people. It's like, it's not practical. You have to be practical when you're making a fan film. You have to realize what your limitations are, what your budget is. I will say it is like, you can save up for things. Like, I saved up to buy the Chewbacca suit for the Han Solo movie. That was probably the most expensive thing we got for this movie. But you have to be aware, you have to be ready for it, you have to be willing to pay for it, you have to save up the money for it. You can't just write a studio budget level script and just expect to be able to make it. You have to prepare for it, you have to be ready, you have to realize, and when you're writing the script, you have to be prepared. So something I always do is I live in Ohio in the United States. It's not necessarily a great place for filmmaking, but there is surprisingly a lot of different landscapes, a lot of different areas that are close to me or within a couple hours of me. So I like to go around, do some research, find out what locations I have available, and then I write the script based on that. I can incorporate the different locations into the script to help further the story and to help really just take advantage of what I do have, of what opportunities I do have. You can look at it as a positive thing. It's an important thing to do, just to try and keep positive with it. The next piece of advice is to know your source material. When making a fan film, you are making something that already exists, in a sense, or at least based on something that exists. Like, I made a Han Solo fan film, and in order for me to really do that character justice and able to do that world of Star Wars justice, I had to research the character, I had to research the world. I spent weeks just diving into Legends material, new canon material, movies, books, comics, anything I could find on Han Solo, just to learn that character, just to learn more about his character, about his backstory, about who he is, to be able to play that role well and to be able to write that character well, that does the character justice. With the world of Star Wars, it is huge. It is such a vast universe in Star Wars. So you have so much freedom. You have such a big sandbox to play in, but it's important to be able to stick with the continuity of the actual source material, so you're not like completely changing things. Now there are certain genres or fandoms that you do have a little more freedom with and retconning things, but it really depends on what you want to do. But if you're making a fan film, I'd say definitely try and know your source material as best as you can. If you don't, people are gonna notice. People are gonna pick on you for it. They're gonna point it out. And but I did not mean to copy it 100%, because if you copy something 100%, nobody's gonna want to watch it because it already exists. One of the most valuable tips that I got from a friend when I was writing my Doctor Who series, and this can go with Star Wars too. If you're writing, so in my case, he said write a sci-fi movie and put the Doctor in it as a character. Now I could use that the same thing for my Han Solo movie. Write a sci-fi movie, make Han Solo a character. That way you're not ripping off something that's already happened in Star Wars. That way you're not repeating something. You're making a new original story with characters from Star Wars. And yeah, it's important to, when you're doing that, try and keep the actual canon in mind when you're doing that, so it doesn't contradict itself. But that is a good way to be original. Just try and take the characters from that material, but also make your own story with it, while keeping it true to those characters. So that's definitely something that I learned that it was important, a really helpful tip for me that helped me a lot. And my next tip is do not take yourself too seriously. Now, it is very important to be as professional as possible when you're making your fan films. It's important to really be committed to it, be professional about it, be passionate about it, because if you're going to be more professional about it, people are going to take it more seriously, people are going to be more likely to allow you to film certain places or help you with it. So it's important to do that, to stay professional and everything, but it's also important not to take yourself too seriously. If you're making a Star Wars fan film, don't act like you're Lucasfilm. Don't act like you're Disney. Don't expect it to be that level of quality, because you're not Disney. I know people who have made fan films in the Doctor Who community, and they take their fan films so seriously as if they were the actual like creators of the show. And when people don't take it that seriously, they get upset. Like, why are people not taking my fan film seriously? This is like Doctor Who level stuff right here. I'm like, it's not. It's a fan film. You're making it for fun. You are making it for fun as a passion project. That needs to be the mindset. It shouldn't be something that you're trying to make to be up there with the actual movies. You know, it's not. You're not. Unless you're like a professional studio making a fan film, it's probably not going to be that level of content. But, you know, it can still be good. You can still make a really good fan film. You can still have fun with it. It's important to be passionate about it. You know, it's a passion project. That's what I like to say, is it's a passion project. You might not make money on it. Now, I've heard some people say, you know, fan films are their own genre, so you can kind of technically make money on it. But I've also heard of Star Wars fan films getting taken down off YouTube, or usually they don't get taken down, but they get demonetized, or Disney starts taking profits from it. So you're probably not going to make money on a fan film, but if you're doing it for fun, if you're doing it as a passion project, it'll still be worth it. I can tell you that I haven't made 1 cent off of any of my fan films, but I have learned, I've gotten better at filmmaking, and ultimately I've had fun doing it. So my final tip is reach out to people. You know, when I've been making movies since I was little, not fan films necessarily, but as I got older and started making fan films, I started reaching out to people. You know, and as people started to see my fan films, like, hey, can I be in your movie? Like, I want to help out with this. I want to be part of this. I might not be a great actor, but I want to be in this movie. This is Star Wars. I want to be in a Star Wars movie. Who wouldn't want to be in a Star Wars movie? Like, that's the thing. I've got so many people just reaching out to me, being like, hey, you need somebody to be in that Chewbacca suit? I'm like, heck yeah, I do. So reach out to people, make connections. There's a lot of people out there that might not be in the film industry, but they will still be willing to help you and wanting to help you and wanting to get involved. If you just let them, just let people get involved. You know, making a movie is a team effort. You can't make a movie by yourself. You really can't. So definitely just like reach out to people, work with other people. Make sure you're having fun doing it. Don't take it too seriously. Make sure to be original while you're doing it. Just try to put your own spin on it. Make it something new that you haven't seen before. Know your source material. Try not to contradict the source material, but still making something your own and making something new. And be aware of your budget and your limitations, but take advantage of the freedoms and the options that you have. So anyways, guys, that was my advice for making fan films. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it. So, yeah, I will see you guys in another video. Thanks for watching. Peace.
What would it be like if Empire Strikes Back came out in the year 2015? Andrew has more with that review.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm a YouTuber. It's 2017, and guess what? Fox didn't listen to me. Instead of making Avatar 2 like they should be doing, they went and they made a sequel to that Star Wars bullshit that they did 2 years ago. So, let's talk about the 2017 flop, The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, first of all, Fox did all this controversial shit where it just retroactively decided to call the last movie A New Hope. So that's what we're doing now. We're just changing the titles of movies willy-nilly. You can't just change a movie's title 2 years after it comes out. And I'm sorry, but A New Hope is probably the dumbest title for anything that I've ever heard in my life. It's so stupid. Anyway, so here we are, the sequel to Star Wars. And remember in the last movie when Darth Vader got blown out of the sky during the Death Star battle? Well, surprise! He's fine now. Because of plot convenience, I guess. They never explain why. We're off to a great start. So Luke Skywalker is hanging like upside down in this ice cave and there's like a monster about to eat him. And he uses the Force to pull his lightsaber into his hand. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I saw the last film. I don't recall anybody teaching Luke telekinesis. So how did Luke somehow magically learn to move things with his mind. I'll tell you how. He learned it from George Lucas's pen, because Luke Skywalker is a shitty Mary Sue character and I hate him. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi shows up as a ghost. So now there's ghosts all of a sudden. It's pretty convenient that the ghost of a dead character just shows up and says stuff to make the plot move forward. Obi-Wan never said anything to Luke about ghosts in the last movie. You think he would have brought that up? You think it'd be kind of important, like, hey, just so you know, if I ever die on this mission we're going on, don't be afraid. I'm gonna come back as a ghost and you can still talk to me and I'll still give you advice. There's no ghosts. They're just pulling stuff out of their ass. What a bunch of crap. How do people not see that this is crap? All right, Luke, Han, and Princess Leia, I gotta admit, they make a really good team. They got a good thing going on together, but it's too bad that they only have one scene in this entire movie where they're all in the same room, and then they just separate for whatever dumb reason. Their chemistry was one of the only good parts of Star Wars A New Hope, and now you don't even have that. You take that away from us too. Ooh, let's talk about Han Solo for a minute. Okay, in part 1, Han Solo has a pretty decent character arc. He's this selfish smuggler and he's gonna leave and just spend his money and go. But then at the end of the movie, he has a change of heart and he comes back and he helps the rebels and he becomes a member of the rebellion and he puts aside his selfish ways. That's a decent character arc. That makes sense. Now along comes The Empire Strikes Back, and it ignores all of that character development. Because one of the first things Han Solo says in this new movie is, I'm gonna leave now, bye rebellion, I gotta go back to my pirate life and pay off Jabba the Hutt. The Han Solo at the end of that first movie would never leave the rebellion. He specifically stayed to save the rebellion. Oh, and now here's more convenient BS. Casper the Friendly Jedi shows up and gives Luke advice, but he says that if Luke goes to fight Vader, he cannot interfere because of reasons, I guess. This whole ghost thing is stupid. It ruined Star Wars. I hope Irvin Kershner dies. So we finally get to meet the Emperor of the Galaxy, because, you know, you can't really have an empire without an emperor. It only makes sense. Too bad the Emperor only has like one scene, and he's not even really there. He's just a giant hologram that Vader talks to. That was a wasted character. In the first movie, it was kind of funny to see Vader like force choke the guys who argue with him in the Empire. I guess it was kind of cool, but now he's like doing it every 20 minutes. It's like, stop leaning on that old crutch. If somebody was really doing this, this is a really dumb way to try to run a government. Has he been acting this way for like 20 years? Has he just been a whiny bitch going around choking people? Eventually, these people are gonna just not want to work for him anymore. It was cool in the first movie, now they're just rehashing it and it makes no sense. Here's another thing that makes no sense. The romance between Leia and Han Solo. It comes out of left field and it's so forced. Any idiot can tell you that the romance in these films should be between Leia and Luke Skywalker. You can just tell from the way that they look at each other that these two were destined to be together. Anybody who says otherwise is stupid and wrong. They're gonna get together in part 3. Trust me. If they don't, I'm boycotting this franchise. Hashtag Lake. Lake is gonna happen. Then we meet a bunch of bounty hunters and they all look pretty cool. But talk about more wasted characters. They did nothing. They barely even moved. They're clearly only there to sell toys, especially that Boba Fett guy. He's the worst character ever. They spent like 2 years building him up. He was in all the promo material. He was in that weird holiday special that they did. They had him on posters and like his face at the mall, and they pumped out his action figure as if he was going to be a big deal. What does he do? Nothing. He shoots at Luke twice, I think. Woo, neat. And speaking of Boba Fett, how in the holy name of hell does he, A, magically know that the Falcon attached itself to that Star Destroyer, B, also know that Han is going to fly to Cloud City, and C, get there first, bring Vader and some stormtroopers with him, cut a deal with Lando, and set an elaborate trap all before they get there? This movie makes no goddamn sense! Oh, and then we meet this guy Lando. Look, Star Wars is shoehorning in an African American character now so that the producers can push their SJW agenda on us. Alright, spoilers. Get ready for the worst sin of all. In part 1, Obi-Wan tells Luke that Vader betrayed and murdered his father. But now along comes Irvin Kershner, who just flips the middle finger in the face of that movie and says, no, I'm going to do things my way. Now Vader is Luke's father. Way to just retcon the whole story, Irvin. Why would they hire a director who clearly has no respect for what came before? Then Luke Skywalker drops hundreds of feet down a pit and is totally fine when he lands? I guess when you're a Mary Sue, little things like gravity don't really affect you like normal people. He starts calling for help and Leia somehow hears him. How can Leia hear his call for help? And don't give me this bullshit that she has the power of the Force too, because we know it's been established that she doesn't have Force powers. The answer better be it's because of their extreme romantic connection. If it's anything else, I'm gonna riot. Hashtag Lake. Don't worry, Lakers. It's gonna happen. They're meant to be together. And after all that, what happens next? We end the movie on like some stupid cliffhanger where the bad guys win. That's horrible. Who wants to see the bad guys win? It's like these people didn't even watch part 1. Hashtag not my Star Wars. Besides, any movie that ends with a cliffhanger is bad by default because it's clearly not a complete story. Bottom line, this was an idiotic, unnecessary cash grab that didn't need to exist. The story ended in the first one. It was just fine like that. But no, instead of giving us Avatar 2, Fox decided we really needed to see the next chapter in the saga of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, who, by the way, never even said 2 words to each other in the first film because that connection was never there. It was just made up for this piece of shit. The Empire Strikes Back might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And thankfully, the rest of the internet agrees with me. Hashtag Lake.
Thanks for joining us on this week's Scavenger Scum, everyone. I'm Erin.
I'm Ella.
I'm Evan.
And we have spoken. Okay. Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.